The following dramatization is inspired by Henry Morton Stanley's accounts of his search for Dr. David Livingstone.
Wacha kwangu bana. Mzuri huyu. Upati bana. Upati. Kwangu mzuri atakachukua.
It's insanity!
Dr. Livingstone! Dr. Livingstone!
Come to Paris. Important business. Bennett? All right. Don't mind if I do. You can do this.
Pas mal, hein?
Let's do it again. Come in. Who are you?
Henry Stanley?
Stanley! Welcome to civilization. This, my dear coquettes, is the finest reporter I have on the staff of the New York Herald.
Hello.
His reports on the fighting in Spain have been both heart-wrenching and sensational. Some of them are even true. Don't mind them. They're French. They don't understand a word I'm saying. Now, if they were American, they'd be groveling at your feet. Never underestimate the American public and its appetite for blood, tears, and glory. Treasure hunts. They love treasure hunts. Can't say I blame them. Ever since I was a child, I've been searching for the rare and unattainable. Cheers.
Thank you.
Which leads me to Dr. Livingstone.
Dr. Livingstone. The missionary?
A foremost missionary in darkest Africa. First white man to traverse the impenetrable continent, including the discoveries of the Victoria Falls and Lake Nyassa. Do you know where he is?
I haven't the foggiest idea.
Nor does anyone else. Great explorer, national hero, and a renowned holy man, and he seems to have completely disappeared. I want you to find him.
You want me to find him? Well, do we have any idea where he is?
5 years ago, the British sent him into Central Africa. He hasn't been heard from since. He had a bad habit of stepping on the wrong political toes, so nobody seems to care.
Why do you care then?
I don't. I don't give a fig about some crusading Christian fanatic.
Well, if you don't care, why should I care then?
Because I want you to care. Besides, more importantly, the American public wants you to care. Our business is to sell papers, Stanley. And to rescue a saint from the mouths of lions and cannibals is a glorious way to do it. It will bring you adventure. And if you succeed, a certain amount of legitimacy. And above all, it will bring you women. You do like women, don't you?
May I suggest, sir, that this little journey could be extremely costly?
Well, draw £1,000 now. When you've gone through that, draw another 1,000. When that's spent, draw another 1,000. But even if you have to bring his bones back, find Livingstone. Don't tell anyone your mission. They'll either laugh at you or try to race you to him. Remember, Stanley, the only thing worth doing is to succeed, no matter how.
If God called Livingstone to Africa, he intended it as a practical joke. In all his years there, the old fellow made one convert who eventually lapsed, and several enemies who would have sent him to hell if they weren't missionaries themselves. As an explorer, he discovered a plateau which had already been found by the Portuguese and the Arabs, and concocted a settlement scheme which resulted in England's embarrassment and several people's deaths. He knows he's a fool, but he won't come home until he proves that he isn't. Why on earth should you care about him?
Oh, it's just idle curiosity. In case I should run into him.
Thank God that you don't. When he disappeared with his loyal savages, some of us here heaved a sigh of relief, I can tell you. That's not to be published, of course.
Did you know him personally?
A completely disagreeable fellow who did not improve upon acquaintance. He loved his black barbarians with a passion and despised his white and civilized equals. He knew how to get round cannibals very well, but he knew nothing of geology and botany. Where are you trekking, for heaven's sake?
My assignment is to explore the Rufiji River.
Oh, good God, he was nowhere near the refugee when last heard of. Besides, we've very reliable reports.
Oh, of what?
He was murdered by natives. Haven't you heard? Cooked in a stew. Most have remarkable stomachs to digest that silly old goat. So much for trusted disciples, what?
Are you pondering your journalistic sins, Mr. Stanley?
Ah, Miss Pike. Happy New Year to you.
Now, I hear that you're to depart for Africa soon.
Yes.
Now, why aren't you celebrating?
Well, celebration's not really my suit, Miss Pike.
And you? You here with your mother and sister?
Yes, my mother and sister are off being entertained by some ambitious suitor, and, well, I decided to play the rude American and join you.
Well, you're hardly rude, Miss Pike.
Oh, all Americans are rude, Mr. Stanley. Especially you.
Especially me.
Yes, here we are, staying in the same hotel. We come from the same distant country, and yet you completely ignore me.
I scarcely know you.
Yes, but I've known you for years. I've read your articles from Spain and Abyssinia, and you've chilled me and thrilled me. You've even inspired me.
Inspired?
Yes, I have decided to set off on a mission of discovery, too.
And what dark and sinister continent are you setting out to explore?
You? I'm from Cincinnati. My father is dead, and my mother brought me here to see the continent. That's all there is to know about me. But you, well, explorers are just so mysterious.
I'm a reporter, not an explorer.
Nonsense. You seek the unknown, don't you? Out there? But isn't that to avoid seeing the unknown in here?
You're being overly romantic, Miss Pike. Any secrets I hold are merely ludicrous and mundane, I can assure you.
Well, that's for me to decide. Where are you from, for example? Some say St. Louis. My mother heard New Orleans.
My father was a Mississippi cotton merchant, and he died, and I came here.
Oh, I'm sorry. You look so suddenly away. My mother said people only do that when they're lying.
I have nothing to hide, Miss Pike.
Mrs. Stanley, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. I'm just a curious girl who's a little bit in love with the unknown. Where are you going? That's all I want to learn, just so I can share with you in my mind's eye some incredible adventure that I'll never be allowed to know.
They call it darkest because no white man has ever been there. And somewhere in this 11 million square miles of uncivilized blackness lives a man whom I am seeking.
Who?
I'm afraid I can't tell you that.
Well, tell me something. Why do you want to find him?
For the adventure, I suppose. And the recognition. And if I succeed, it will prove that I am somebody.
You are somebody. You're Henry Morton Stanley. You are who you are, whether you succeed or fail.
Oh, I won't fail. I may die, but I'll die looking I anticipate many disagreeable things, Miss Pike. Not the least of which is an encounter with this, by some reports, detestable man. But I cannot picture myself standing with my hat in hand, explaining to my employer why I failed to fulfill my promise. No, I won't fail.
You're very passionate about this, Mr. Stanley.
Yes.
I always thought men were only passionate about things like money or women. You needn't look away. I don't know if it's indifference or Midwestern shyness, but well, it's not an area you have anything to be afraid of.
Dearest Alice, I write this to you on the eve of my departure, thinking only of my return, and once again, of seeing you. Word has it that Livingstone is dead, and I must return with his bones rather than the man. Nevertheless, the very hour I land in England, I should like to hold you and kiss you as you kissed me, but such a long time must elapse first.
My good man, you must put my mind at rest. Rumours have been circulating in this consulate that you've spent over £3,000 on miles of cloth, millions of beads, hundreds of coils of brass wire.
Well, the rumors are wrong, Dr. Kirk.
Oh, thank goodness. I do my best to stop...
£4,000 I've spent, not three.
Good heavens. Good heavens. But why should a newspaper expend that much revenue on an insignificant river like the Rufiji?
Well, the New York Herald is very interested in adding, at whatever cost, to the knowledge of the globe, Dr. Kirk.
Yes. Yes, I suppose so.
You were to explore yourself, weren't you? Didn't you spend several years traveling with that missionary fellow?
Livingstone.
Dr. Livingstone, yes. Where do you think he is?
Oh, now that's a difficult question to answer.
What's he like? They say he's a very modest man, is he?
He's not quite an angel. No, he's a difficult man to deal with. We're continually sending something up for him, though I have just received word that supplies we sent to him some months ago haven't even left the coast. It's his own fault, bushwhacking into the unknown.
Where were they headed? Perhaps if it's along my route.
Oh, no. You're travelling south. Ujiji is some 700 miles to the west. Besides...
Ujiji?
Livingstone drops in there once in a great while. I should tell you, however, that if he got the slightest inkling that yourself or any other white man were in the area, he put 100 miles of swamp between himself and them in a very short time. It is possible, though, that events may have overtaken us.
In what way?
We received word only last week that the man may be dead.
Dear Alice, at last we depart for Ujiji.
Led by the Stars and Stripes, with the red flag of Zanzibar pointing towards 700 miles of unknown hostile territory. Our caravan is composed of 192 men and their wives, including a dozen armed soldiers under the command of Bombay, a gap-toothed fellow who traveled with Bert and Speak. One of the guides, 6'4" Asmani, has a darkness in his heart that harbors some serious resentment, I fear. Of the 3 whites on the expedition, they consist of William Farquhar, a capital navigator who, I'm sorry to say, is a rather hard drinker. John Shaw, a sailor who jumped ship under the suspicion of mutiny, and an American gentleman called Banamakuba, the big master, whose heart palpitates much too quickly for the sober face of a leader. Dear Alice, it sickens me almost to write of this day's experience. Though our march was but 10 miles, it occupied as many hours of labor. Now that I am in Africa, however, I feel as a fish reeled in by some unknown force, and there's no use struggling against it. What reels me in? I prefer to think of it as destiny, with Livingstone as bait, and you as the untiring fisherman.
Come on!
My darling Morton, I just received your first letter. Oh, how romantic it all sounds. At least twice as romantic as it is here. My sister and her new beau are disgracefully in love and plan to be married soon. Shall we do the same? I'm only joking. Or am I?
Construct your bundles, damn it! Stop!
I think of you always and long to lie with my lips caressing your handsome neck. Your loving Alice.
Get out there and pick up these bundles!
You have been very sick, Ibarra.
How long?
Several days.
We've been traveling.
No.
Why not?
Banafaka too. He is very sick.
Why haven't we been traveling?
You're up.
There's more than I could say for the 2 of you.
It's bloody agony, Mr. Stanley. I can hardly walk. What do you think it is?
It's just a simple rash. It's nothing as bad as you wish.
We couldn't travel with him like that and with you out of your head.
My horse could have carried me.
Your horse is dead. The tsetse fly finished him yesterday.
The porters then could have taken us both on their backs.
The porters are running away. I can't say I blame them. Their leader's delirious and they want to go home.
Running away? And why haven't you stopped them?
They're off in the night. What am I to do? Chain them in their sleep?
If necessary, yes! Did you get any of them back?
Yeah, we caught one.
Did you make an example of him?
No, not yet.
This man was paid for this journey in advance.
Bwana kubwa anasema huyu alilipwa mshahara wake mwanzoni mwa safari hii.
I have no mercy for men who go back on their word.
Hana huruma na mwanamume wote ambaye urudi nyuma.
He was stealing food and shelter from all of you.
Alikuwa naiba chakula na hema kutoka kwa sisi wote.
And leaving us here to die.
Akituacha tukufe.
"20 strokes. Finish it." My dear Alice, this selfish and wooden-headed world requires mastering as well as loving charity. The whip has an astonishing ability to bring back the physical energy of the lazily inclined. I would use it without impunity on white men as well as black. I use it on myself, Alice, deep within my soul. I am a fevered pilgrim seeking a dead man's bones without really knowing why. My soul knows, it seems, and my physical body must simply endure. I lash myself mercilessly onward, ever onward. And why should any man deserve mercy from one who has none for himself?
Stanley! I thought it was you. I am Khamis bin Abdullah. I have heard of your journey.
From whom?
Africa. You are a long way from the Rufiji River.
Yes, we're headed to Ujiji instead. My newspaper wants a report on Lake Tanganyika.
Then your newspaper will be sorely disappointed. The road to Ujiji cannot be traveled.
Why is that?
Mirambo. Have you not heard of him?
No.
A native chief who is warring on all foreigners. He will allow no one to pass. If you continue down this road, you will be massacred.
Thank you. I will consider your advice.
Mr. Stanley. Perhaps we can thank the wisdom of Allah that our paths have crossed. I, too, have had to turn back. I have not enough men to fight Mirambo. But if we were to fight him together... Please. You see, Mirambo does not want anyone passing through his territories. And he does not distinguish between Arab slavers and English explorers. He feels we both lay waste to his kingdom.
And I dare say we do.
Ah, but the English pay no attention to tribal boundaries. I only enslave his enemies.
Well, perhaps he fears when his enemies run out, he will enslave him.
I guarantee you, Mr. Stanley, he would be happier living with us in chains than as a free man in that wretched jungle of his.
No. For some people, chains are worse than death.
No doubt you speak from experience.
Yes, I do.
Oh. But were you ever chained to such magnificence? Look at this boy. His parents were massacred in a nearby village. Without me, he would be no more than an ingredient in Mirambo's stew.
What is his name?
Why, Toje?
Ndugu mahali.
My brother's wealth. Of course, now he has neither a brother nor wealth. But look at him now. Look at those eyes. Would you like him?
I don't buy slaves.
Then I will give him to you. As a gift. Name him what you will. He's yours.
What's the Swahili for young antelope?
Kalulu.
Kalulu, then.
Inshallah.
My dear Alice, I have been given a young slave boy whose sufferings I can imagine only too well. He has lost everything he valued in life, and I can only hope my intervention will restore what little faith he has left in human kindness.
What are you doing?
What
does it look like?
If you leave here, you will die.
What if we all turn back? You're the only one who wants to go on.
I don't remember offering you a choice.
I'm sick!
We're all sick! It'll pass.
Like Farquhar passed. I can't go on, I'm losing my mind!
Then get out! Leave your gun, your tent, and your supplies, and get out!
I can't survive without them.
And neither will we!
You can't get by this, Chief.
I don't intend to get by him. I intend to get around him. We're gonna travel to the south.
You're mad. You don't even know what's out there.
Soon enough, I will. Now, you can either leave with the clothes on your back, or you can help us bury the dead. Which is it?
I'll go with you.
Pull yourself together, man.
I'm sorry. I'll go with you, I'm sorry. Oh.
My dearest Alice, this letter perhaps will never reach you. Certainly not until I am either safe in your arms or dead and digested in some cannibal stomach. I am in the dark depths of hell. So why do I go on?
Quiet. Your mother.
Tell her if she doesn't shut up, we'll all end up like him.
That's keeping her quiet.
You are all I live for, my sweet Alice. You and Livingstone.
Nini hiyo?
This is a very powerful weapon. Some say it is more powerful than a spear. That's the weapon's blood. And when it's written in here, it is my blood.
not gone, Bwana Mkubwa. Mr. Shaw was right. You beat us and you match us and you treat us little better than slaves.
I treated Shaw no differently than I treated you.
And he is dead. So you see?
He was a coward. Soft. You're stronger than he is, Obsmani.
We will not fall for flattery, Bwana Mkubwa. If you insist that we continue, then you must die.
I insist.
Bana! Bana! Bana!
What is it, Bombay?
We have visitors from the west side of the country. They have seen a white man.
I want to know exactly where he saw him.
Ujiji, seno ya hola.
Ujiji, he has now arrived.
Ask him how he was dressed. How was he dressed?
Singaiwe.
He was dressed like you.
Was he young or old?
Nomsahulu nomba nomsiani.
Nomsahulu. Erusil lafu. Arembe for.
Old, white hair, soon to die.
Soon to die? He's not dead yet.
Asiri kufua.
Tawe, Asiri.
No, he's not yet dead.
Oh, good.
How do you do, sir? Hello. Who the mischief are you? I am Susi, the servant of Dr. Livingstone. Excuse me.
Dr. Livingstone, I presume?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, my goodness. I saved this for this occasion.
You know, when I first came here, 16 days ago, I was dying on my feet. I had no food left, no medicine, certainly no letters. You brought me new life.
To your very good health, sir.
To the noontime quiet of nature, hum of the insects in the air, to the tide of life which, in 1,000 forms, breathes in the dry and dusty soil in the bosom of the waters, and the air that washes around us. All right, I'm fine, thank you.
Well, Doctor. You are probably wondering why I came here.
Yes, I thought at first you were a French explorer, but then I saw the American flag, and I was really rather glad, because I don't speak a word of French. But I suppose, like all other white men in these parts, you're looking for the source of the Nile, huh?
No, I came here looking for you.
Oh, was I lost?
Have you ever heard of the New York Herald?
Who hasn't heard of that newspaper?
Well, the Herald has sent me to find you, to bring you help, and to return with news, and yourself, if you will so desire.
Yeah, well, I had no idea the Americans thought so highly of me. My own countrymen seem to have forgotten about me altogether. Well, I apologize for maligning my saviors, Mr. Stanley. All right.
Will you return home with me, then?
Home? This is home to me now. Thank you. Tell me, Mr. Stanley, have you ever had a mission? Oh, well, of course you have. One brought you here, so you'll know what I'm talking about. Well, for 1,600 years, mankind has been searching for the source of the Nile, the fountain of truth and life, arising, as Ptolemy wrote, in the mountains of the moon, here, somewhere quite close to where we are now. And this lake, I believe, leads into that great river. Now, if this is the source of the Nile, then people will listen to me on a subject far more important than this one. You see, I too have a mission, a secret mission, one which will take us out of the darkness that we live in, into the light of truth.
A secret mission?
Yes. Oh, I'll tell you about it someday. If you will sail with me.
Sail with you? Where?
To the head of this lake, to determine whether or not the river there leads into the waters or not. If into, then it is a sign from God that I failed in my mission. But if out of, I will have discovered the source of the Nile, and then perhaps people will believe what they're told.
You want me to go exploring with you?
Yes! Hey!
Well, Doctor, I'm deeply honored, but I can't. I have obligations to my newspaper, my fiancée. I must return. And you must return with me.
Why?
Why? For your health, your safety.
Not for your glory? All right. I'll agree to come with you if you'll come with me first. I need your strength and your provisions.
Aha!
Yeah? We need each other, you see, Mr. Stanley, to accomplish our own separate tasks. After all, you came here for adventure. Well, Mr. Stanley, the adventure is just beginning.
My darling Alice, I am embarking on a new voyage of discovery. Our ship is an African Argo hollowed from the trunk of a tree. My companion, a man whose gentleness never forsakes him, whose hopefulness never deserts him. We are seeking to answer a question that has plagued mankind for thousands of years. For Livingstone, our goal is even nobler. He will not explain himself further except to say, it is the unburdening of freedom and truth.
Don't shoot. Why did you point your gun at those people?
Pointing my gun at those barbarians is what kept me alive, Doctor.
They were throwing stones, not spears. And who can blame them? We're trying to change their way of life.
Surely their way of life needs some changing.
I love these people. They're my children. And our presence here makes them fearful. Sooner or later, their customs must bend before ours if they are to be saved.
Saved? For Christianity?
For the future. You see, Europeans came here long before we missionaries. And they brought with them a deadly disease. It's called broken-heartedness. And it attacks free men who've been captured and made slaves.
Slavery is an unfortunate inevitability. It's been outlawed in Europe for decades, and yet it still rages on.
Yes, but it hasn't been outlawed here. At least 30,000 more pass through Zanzibar each year. And that doesn't take into account the thousands that sicken and die before they even reach the ships. If the British public were aware of the extent of this, perhaps the government might do something.
Why don't you return, then, and tell them what you've seen?
Oh, they wouldn't believe me. I'm a cranky old goat who's viewed as a national embarrassment. I imagine that's what they told you, isn't it?
Doctor? You prefer to eat alone?
No, of course not. I'm so used to sitting on my own. Please. Were you in the war, Mr. Stanley? The one between the states, I mean.
Yes.
North or south?
Both.
My son died in that war.
Your son?
Robert, yes. Only 18. Terrible things, those prison camps. Did you see him?
No, I didn't.
Yes, I was not a good father to him. I neglected all my children, abandoned my dear, sweet, loyal wife. But Robert gave his life in a cause to which I have given only words. You know, when I first saw your flag and you marching towards me, I thought for a moment you were Robert.
Shoot the son of a bitch! Please help me. Please help me.
No, escuela junta! No! Help me! Escuela junta! Help me, please!
It's all right. It's all right. It's only the fever. It's only Africa. You relax. Speed bonny boat, like a bird on the wing. On with the sailors cry. Carry the man that's born to be king. Over the sea to sky.
Are you spoken for, Miss Pike? For the next dance, I mean.
Yes, I'm spoken for. Excuse me. Mr. Bennett, my name is Alice Pike. I'm a friend, well, a very good friend of Henry Morton Stanley.
I believe the bastard's dead.
Well, he can't be.
Have you heard from him?
No, not recently.
Nor have I. He spent my money and then he disappeared. He better be dead if he knows what's good for him.
Well, he can hardly write letters from where he is.
In the savage's stew pot. He's cheated us, Miss Pike. He's made me poor by several $1,000s and you by one friend. Excuse me, one very good friend.
I don't believe he's dead. I would know if he were dead.
Another American romantic like myself. Well, perhaps you're right. Indeed, I hope you are. Good evening, Miss Pike.
No, no. You all right?
Yes. It's just a dream.
How do you know Welsh, Mr. Stanley?
Welsh? I don't.
Oh. Well, you spoke it in your fever last night. I think you asked God to help you. Do you pray, Mr. Stanley?
Pray? Sometimes.
Mm-hmm. To my God?
I'm not a Hindu, if that's what you're asking.
What are you afraid of?
I'm not afraid of anything.
Death?
Well, death, naturally.
Uh-huh. You know, I was almost killed by a lion once, many, many years ago. And I thought afterwards how easy it will be to die. I was quite proud of myself for that discovery. But I've since learned that there are far worse things than death to fear.
Like what?
Oh, I don't know. Facing oneself.
Doctor. Doctor. Forgive me.
What is it?
I must speak with you. My name is not Henry Stanley. It is John Rowlands. I was born in Wales, not America. My entire life is a lie. I have never spoken of this to anyone. Why am I telling you this?
Perhaps because you need to.
I was born a bastard. I never knew my father and my mother. When I was 6, she gave me away, and she sent me to a workhouse. And what was done to me in the recess of that horror chamber will haunt me for the rest of my life.
Lisa! Dawn!
The beating is good, fellow. Who doesn't do his job properly, huh?
I was there for 9 years. Finally, I reached a point where I could no longer tolerate my tormentor.
Unbutton, boy.
I will not, sir.
What? Stupid boy. Down with your trousers!
Never again.
Never again. Get down there, boy.
I ran to Liverpool, took a job on a boat to America. Life on board, if you can believe it, was almost as bad as the workhouse. When we reached New Orleans, I jumped ship. And it was there I met my father.
Your father?
Oh, no, not my real father. There was a man who took me in, gave me work. He was the first man to show me any real love and tenderness, and he even gave me his name, Henry Stanley. And then one day he suddenly said he had to go away on business, and he left. And I never saw him again. Never heard from him. So I too ran away to war this time.
At a battlefield known as Shiloh. We wore violets in our caps as a sign of peace, hoping they wouldn't shoot at us if they saw them there. But they did.
Help me! Dear God, please help me.
He was a friend. Someone to whom I had opened my heart.
Shoot the son of a bitch. Go on.
Help
Help me!
I was sent to a prisoner camp. Camp Douglas, near Chicago. I know full well the conditions that killed your son. I survived them because I joined the Union Army as a turncoat. Born a bastard, disowned by my mother, beaten almost to death. How could I believe in love? I had to learn to believe in one thing and one thing only. Myself. You asked if I prayed? I have, and I do. I sometimes feel I'm just mouthing words. But there's no real point in it. God never loved me. So why should I love him?
Well then, why does he allow you to live? You know, you could have died in the workhouse, in the war, in the jungle on your journey here. Others did, you didn't. So don't you think God has a plan?
A plan? God may have a terrible sense of humor, Doctor, but I don't necessarily see any plan in that.
Well, it's not for you to decide. You must wait on God's good pleasure to reveal to you what he wants you to do. The river flows into the lake, not out of it. This is clearly not the source of the Nile. So, there is another river to the west of here, the Lualaba. That must be the headwaters of the Nile, so we'll explore that next.
Doctor! I'm sorry, I can't do that. I must return to England, and you're coming with me.
As soon as we've explored the Lualaba. It'll only take 18 months or so.
I don't have 18 months. I have a newspaper article to deliver. I have, God willing, a woman who is waiting for me. Maybe it's not God's pleasure that you explore the Lualaba.
Of course it's God's pleasure. Do you think he sent me to Africa to fail?
It's not for you to decide his plan. Now, who said that? Now, forgive me, Doctor, but you promised me that if I accompanied you here, you would return home with me. You can return when you get your strength back. The Lualaba will wait. My darling Alice, we are Zanzibar bound, and soon I will be in your precious arms. The doctor has finally agreed to travel with me, unhappily so, and he is not well. It will be all I can do to bring him breathing back to London. His theory on the Nile has received a devastating blow, and though he does not say it, I fear he believes God has rejected him.
Mr. Stanley!
Yes, Doctor?
I must turn back.
Turn back? Why? We're through the worst of it.
Once we reach
No,
Zanzibar...
I must find the headwaters of the Nile, the Lualaba River. I must trace it to its end.
Yes, but you must come to England
No,
first.
it is not God's good pleasure.
With all due respect, God's good pleasure is that you return to England with me and see your loved ones. Doctor, you're not well.
Now I have some letters to my children. Thank you. To Oswell and to Agnes. Please, my journal, please see that they get to them. Oh, and this. My mission. My secret mission. I promised you I would tell you about it one day. I witnessed a massacre, Mr. Stanley. Hundreds of men, women, and children murdered or taken into slavery. I was the only white witness. No one would believe the horrors I saw, but they would believe you. Because you have done what few men could do. You found me against incredible odds. And you have worked your way into my heart. So please, take this with you. See it's published and believed. Do not fail me. This horrendous evil must be stopped.
Why can't you come with me and do it yourself, Doctor?
Because I'm needed here. God sent you to me for this purpose. I see that now.
You're stubborn man. I can see there's no changing your mind when you've made it up.
You're like a son to me. Please. You're like my boy Robert to come back.
I promise you that what is ever in my power to do, I will do.
Lizzie. Goodbye, Bola. And Godspeed.
Thank you. You take care of the old man, won't you?
Of course.
Well, Doctor. I came to you on a mission of fortune. And I leave you now on a mission of faith. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know whether I'm John Rollins or Henry Stanley. But I do know one thing. You've been like the father I never knew. And I will miss you.
I shall look into your face and listen to what you say and be often very near you when you are far away. God guide you safe home. Bless you.
And you too.
Safari, yeah. Oh, a safari, a bambani machero. 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 Safari, yeah. Oh, a safari, a bambani machero.
Mr. Stanley, did you actually find Livingstone?
Yes, of course I did.
So there's no truth in the rumour that it's all a huge hoax? Welcome home, Mr. Stanley. Welcome home.
Yes?
Hello, is Alice, Miss Pike, is she in?
No, sir. She's away, sir.
She's away. Could you be so kind as to give her these when she returns? You can tell her they're from her friend in Africa.
Very good, sir.
Is she gone for long?
Hard to say, sir. She's gone indefinitely.
Indefinitely. I see. Thank you.
You deceived us, Mr. Stanley. We at the Royal Geographical Society do not take kindly to deception.
I was merely following instructions.
You acted like a cad. Livingstone is our man. If he needed finding, we would have found him.
Then why didn't you?
Because he isn't lost. He knows precisely where he is.
You hadn't the foggiest idea where he was.
Well, what does that matter? All this is beside the point. There are larger issues involved. Seems that you're an imposter, Stanley.
Imposter?
Dr. Livingstone despises reporters, most especially those working for lurid American tabloids. If he were to grant an interview to anyone, it would be to an Englishman, not to you.
Are you saying I made this all up?
The handwriting on the letters you brought back seems remarkably similar to your own. I'm not a forgery expert, but we at the Royal Geographical Society are withholding our judgment until we hear from the Livingstone family.
Oh, please.
In the meantime, we invite you to a special meeting of the Society to defend your claims.
Defend? I have nothing to defend.
No, but you do. Your character, your veracity, your very identity is in question. If you choose to remain silent, the British public will draw its own conclusions. If, on the other hand, your story is valid, then what have you to fear?
I want to relate to you the tale of an old man, a splendid old man, who is, as we speak, tramping onwards to discover the sources of the mighty Nile. Some of you have doubted the truth of my narrative, claiming that the letters I returned with were forgeries. You are mistaken. I have with me here another letter which describes an incident that only Livingstone could have seen. A massacre, the horror of which...
Enough of this! What we want is the geographical facts.
My dear young man, I am trying to give you the facts.
So you presume, Mr. Stanley?
What I presumed was that I was talking to an audience of interested explorers.
You're the sort who explores the land of exaggeration.
You're the sort of armchair geographer who has yet to explore his own back garden.
Who's the native boy? Let the native boy speak.
He isn't in the habit of speaking to inferiors.
I wouldn't talk Mr. Stanley. Isn't it true that you're a Welsh bastard?
He's the king of beasts! Remember, we are Chinese.
You didn't find Livingstone. He discovered you.
Jingle how? Idiot.
Stanley.
Alice.
Mr. Stanley. My sincere congratulations. I'm so proud to know you. Oh, Mr. Barney, this is Henry Morton Stanley.
How do you do? Alice told me quite a lot about you.
I'm sorry we weren't able to meet you at the train, but we were on the continent, you know. Didn't get back until this morning.
For my honeymoon. Oh, it was a wonderful trip, Stanley. Do you know Venice?
What do you think of the civilized world? Not your world, is it? Well, you're fortunate. At least you know where you belong, not me. All my life I ran away with no place to rent. Please help me to not run away again.
Father, will we be going home now?
Yes, Kalulu. We will be going home.
Put it out! Put it out!
It's not all pleasure, this exploration, is it? May God's rich blessing come down on you and anyone, American, British, African, who can help to heal this open sore of the world.
Doctor.
Oh, by the way, you've been vindicated.
Yes? Hello?
Telegram, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I stand before you today humbled by Livingstone's final journey and the men who accomplished it. He took his faithful servant Susie and 60 others 11 months to carry his body 1,000 miles to the Indian Ocean. It is that body that we bury today in this most honored monument to the English dead. We bury the body, but not the heart. Livingstone's heart is interred in Africa, which is only fitting. He was more of Africa than of England. He belonged more to God than to man. People picture him as a solemn old man. Well, I can tell you, I have seldom met a man so quickly responsive to laughter and the lighter moods. And I have never met a man so gentle and giving. And yet, he was a fierce man. He did more to end the evil of African slavery than any man before him. And he was a fearless guide through jungles even I was afraid to enter. And who am I? I am the one who he has given his blessing to complete his task. So I will return to the great continent. I will trace the Lualaba to its end, and I will determine once and for all the source of the Mother Nile. Because Africa was Livingstone's mother. And I am Livingstone's son.